allows us to be better leaders for them.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And I think that also makes it incredibly personal, and that connection is something they're going to remember. It's something they're absolutely going to remember. So, which is actually a perfect segue. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and just hopefully it might not be today, but at some point, in the future, and whether they're continuing to be a great team member for us or they go on to something else, maybe that resonates with them, and they say, they've got the realization at some point in the future that that's what I should do. I need to connect with my people because someone did that for me. And they may not feel it or see it now, but hopefully someday, that's the impression that gets left with them.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And that's a great transition into this next question. And we talked about this quite a bit, Myles, off podcast, and I know this is really important to you. So can you tell us, in your opinion, why is culture important? Because it's a word that you hear a lot, right? You didn't used to hear the word, and now it's everywhere, and it's become somewhat, ubiquitous. But we know it matters. We know that culture is important, but why is it important?
I think the culture is it's almost the society that your team members live within your restaurant. It's when they know what to expect, they can feel comfortable in their jobs. They can feel like experts in their jobs, and they look forward to come to work because they know how they're going to be treated. They know how to treat others, how to treat our guests. And there's nothing more important for a team member or for, I think, a person than to feel comfortable and excited and like you're an expert in your job. So when we're talking about, this almost overused word of culture, for me, it's surrounding myself and building a team of people with like-minded goals. We all want to succeed. We all want to work hard, and putting those people together in a situation where they can get some synergy and get some happiness, because I think that work happiness bleeds over into your personal happiness. It's hard to be really, truly, I believe, happy at home when you've got all these turmoils at work. And let's even if it's shift to shift. I work with a day manager who has these expectations and wants me to work this way, but when I work at night, I work with a different manager who has different expectations. That's not a great culture. That's not a great environment to live in. And people will choose to do something different. They'll go somewhere else where they feel comfortable, where they have that consistency. And so for me, culture just means an environment where people feel safe. They feel like what they experience is consistent, and the people that are around them, both leaders and coworkers, are genuinely happy to be here. And that's not an easy thing to build. And hiring for behavior, hiring for attitude is absolutely at the top of our list, well over hiring experience. It's surrounding the people that are the face of our organization, our team members and our management staffs, with people that have good attitudes and want to be here and they're happy. And sometimes it's a white unicorn out there that we're trying to achieve, but I think consistency in processes for us goes a long way in building that culture, because we know what to expect. And when I come in, whether it's cleaning calendars or process and doing food or process and engaging with the guests, that's the same, and that gives me that job satisfaction.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that while it sometimes seems like a unicorn, I kind of think about it as being lightning in a bottle, when you find it and, you create it. But I don't think it has to be a one-time thing. I think you can create systems around that culture that you're building to be sustainable. And I think that a lot of times people think, oh, that's just for this size company or for this type of organization or for this type of, and I just don't believe that. I have been thinking a lot about this over the years, and just that culture matters, and that it is absolutely something that you can create. And I love what you said about that. And so I guess just my next question for you on that is, what have you done to build that culture, and how have you connected that culture to the overall vision of the organization?
Well, again, it goes back to the people, and the people that you surround yourselves, and what is their vision of, one of the questions during the interviewing and onboarding process is what kind of team members do you like to work with? What kind of leaders do you like to work with? And when you're engaging guests, what does that look like for you? And trying to get a picture of, as they describe it, and does that match how you describe it to them? And so I think the people are absolutely vital as being the building block to creating a culture, because you can lay out a vision and you can lay out all these things, but if you don't have the right people matching that vision and treating each other that way on a daily basis, then the vision only goes so far. The car's off the tracks at that point.
Yep.
So hiring the right people is a number one vital step. And then our above store leaders, as they are interacting, I spend a lot of time talking with them about their interactions in stores and their conversations with people. It seems very basic, but the praising in public and the coaching in private, and what does that look like, and how we treat our people, and how we interact, and the tones of our voice, and all of those things lend itself to creating this culture of a safe place. And that was one of the things, as I brought the shift leaders to their very first meeting, getting them to try to understand, hey, this is a safe place. We can have honest discussions. There won't be, repercussions later. If things are happening that we need to discuss, let's discuss it. And so as we start to progress as a team and understand that we're all here together, and if you need help, we will help you, people start to buy in. It's that buy-in you mentioned earlier. And when you start to get that buy-in, it becomes almost unstoppable at that point. As you laid out the vision, they want to start to achieve it.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. What piece of advice would you give your 25-year-old self as you look back on your career? If you were talking to yourself and going back in time, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Well, it goes back to kind of what we've spent the day on.
I love it.
I would tell my 25-year-old self to focus on others, because at 25, it was about my success and what am I achieving, and look at my results. And I feel like I navigated some waters, as I went through my career, maybe that I could have done at a different pace, because I didn't see the light bulb or have the light bulb go on that it's not about me. And so I think early on in my career, maybe that was my missing piece. There were some results there, and things, happened, from a data-driven standpoint that were positive. I was missing the people piece. And so I would definitely tell myself, focus on others, spend your time engaging, communicating, and developing, and success will come much quicker.
No question about that. No question about that. And, I think, and I'd love to get your take on this, I think about this a lot. I think about this topic a ton. And I have kids that happen to fall into this kind of sweet spot age group. I have a 20-year-old, 23-year-old, 20-year-old, and as I think about my responsibility in helping to cast that vision for them of what that looks like, right? So I try to use them as an example for myself of because, I say this all the time, like my 28-year-old son, he's a GM for Raising Cane's, and he's super successful. He's doing a great job. And I always say, to him, gosh, you're so much smarter at 28 than I was at 28. Right. but I think he's also benefited from some of what we've seen happen in the industry over the years. And, obviously having a dad that grew up in the business, but I think that as you think about what you do as a leader, what I do as a leader, do you think it's our responsibility to impact these 25-year-olds out there with all the knowledge that we've accumulated? Because I see that as being our responsibility to do. I think that's in really large part what we should be doing every day. And I think if we continue to drive that home, I think everyone gets better.
Yeah, no question. They're the future, and it's amazing how you get to a certain point, and that's how you feel, right? That passer on of the knowledge person, as you go through this business and you go through every day, it's like I feel like I've acquired all of these items of benefit for running a restaurant that I need to pass on to help their learning curve, because it is a learning curve. I mean, you can spend a lot of days in a restaurant and not encounter something for, a situation for years potentially, because every day is different. Even though you've got the same processes, you do the kind of the same thing. We all know every day is a little bit different in a restaurant. And so you take these moments that, hey, you haven't experienced this yet, but when you do, this is what I do. This is how I find success.
Exactly.
And get imparting that wisdom, if you will, onto the people that surround you is like you said, you feel like it's a responsibility. And again, one that clearly you and I both take very seriously.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's something that when I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror, I think about all the time, and, think about the impact that I'm having. And so I guess we get to have that conversation with ourselves now, not just when we're 25, right? Our 25-year-old self now. Right. So I love it. So now I'm going to switch up just a little bit and talk about the leadership impact you have as it relates to technology, because we all know technology in this business has grown exponentially over the last 10 years. And so how are you using technology to help you have more of an impact with your leadership?
Well, I'd love to say that I'm on the cutting edge of technology and all that it offers. I do. My wife does give me some ribbing sometimes, but technology allows us to, for me, I think in our business today, to do two things. It allows us to make better financial or business decisions because we get a lot more data in real time to help us be impactful. And so engaging our leaders in the restaurants with that data and talking through, not dictating answers to them, but okay, this is what you see from this, what would you do? And being able to help them become decision makers and not just order followers, I think is vital in developing their decision-making process. So being able to do that with data. And then second is the connecting part. Technology today allows us to connect with, satellite restaurants or territories in such a way that in 2019, people in 6 hours away or 4 states away can feel like they're in the same room for meetings and connecting with team members that they never would have got to be able to do before. So I think the data and the business decisions along with connecting is really how we're using technology today.
I think that's really smart. And what about for Five Guys? I'm sure you've got some technology that you use there and just in terms of service and experience and the guest experience, like what types of things are you using at Five Guys to just really kind of help you stay cutting edge?
Well, we've got guest information that we can get on either different surveys or how they're feeling in the restaurant. We can do some personal surveys